All right, everybody, welcome to the next installment of the Detroit Hustle podcast. And today we have a classmate of mine who is this dynamo in the music industry. And I just am so happy that she could join us today. Antea Birchett, how are you?
Hey, I am fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm even better now that we got this coordinated. I know you're a busy
Right.
lady, so thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And so I want to just dive right in. Let's not waste any time. Tell us where you're from in Detroit and where you got your start.
All right. Well, I am from the northwest side of Detroit, around Outer Drive, Southfield area. Um, and I kind of have the classic story of a lot of Detroiters that are in the music industry. It all began in the house of the Lord. That's where we all started.
Yeah.
My parents would have my aunt come and pick us up for church, and we did a lot of singing there. But the real true start was at home with my father. He's a singer, and he, when my older sister Angela was born, he would sing two-part harmony with her, and then when I was born, the three of us would sing three-part harmony together, and then we had to wait 5 years for the third member of our group. She came along, and then it took her a minute to actually learn how to sing. And then once she did, my dad started teaching us how to sing together, and really started really pouring into us the importance of songwriting and singing and blend and teaching us, and giving us these hopes about the music industry. And from there, we sang in church, and all of us sang in high school. And it just, turned into this whole thing. As teenagers, we were a singing group, the Birchett sisters, and we did all kinds of things together and got really, really good at what we were doing. It was very strange, but it wasn't strange because my dad did a great job, but we just gotten really good. And then Angela went away to college to Kentucky State, and then me and Anisha started writing together after that. It just kind of, but it all started with my pops, and then us, developing in church, and then developing at our respective, high schools and all. That's
That's
where it
awesome.
began.
I didn't know that you all started singing at home. So, just for the audience who may be Detroiters, where'd you go to school? Tell us about where you went to school.
I went to the incomparable Cass Technical High School. Um, I know, right? It just sounds
But what
like the
about middle and elementary? Where did you go before Cass?
okay. So for elementary school, I went to Holcomb.
Okay.
Um, and for junior high school, I spent 3 years in a private Catholic school. I went to Saint Scholastica
Okay.
from the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And I don't really remember what was before that. Like preschool was like Do Re Mi, and I think I went to Emerson for a semester because they couldn't figure out what school to put me in. Now all that's a little cloudy, but it was
Gotcha.
Holcomb, and then Saint Scholastica, and then Cass Tech after that.
Okay. So then what happened after Cass? Because I don't know if I know all the details. I followed your career over the years through social media and everything, but kind of give us an overview of how you got to where you are now, because you're in Georgia now, right? And what are you doing today? And then we'll kind of trace it back.
Okay, well, right now, I do private voice coaching, songwriting, teaching songwriters, co-writes, and I actually just wrapped being the vocal coach for the Nat Geo Genius Aretha series starring Cynthia Erivo that comes out in March.
Oh,
So I got a chance
wow.
to vocal coach Cynthia Erivo for, I mean, production, we started in November 2019. It was be done April. Because of the pandemic, we got shut down in February. So it went from basically a 6-month job to a year later. So we started November 19 and we wrapped right before Thanksgiving this year. So
Wow.
we were shut down for about 5 months, maybe 5 or 6. And we they opened production back up through the pandemic and all the masks and PPE and all that, and we finished it. But I got the opportunity to vocal coach Cynthia, and she is
She
an
has a great
amazing.
voice.
Oh my gosh, she's just and her and my older sister Angela were in Color Purple together on Broadway. Um,
Okay. Cool.
So and that was my introduction to her. Um,
Hmm. Uh-oh.
to go
I think.
see The Color Purple because Angela was in it. But
Uh-huh. Hold on, you froze for a
connections
second
getting
there. Yeah, a
wacky.
little bit, little bit. I don't want that to
Okay,
keep happening. So if anything, you need to adjust.
okay, yeah, okay. Hopefully it'll be good.
Okay. Yeah.
So I fell in love with Cynthia during The Color Purple. Like her voice was just, I cried the entire time. It was just, I had
Wow.
never heard a voice like that. And then for a connection of a connection in the industry to, it was right when I was about to transition and move down here. Uh, that someone said, "Hey, are you in Atlanta yet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I wasn't quite here yet." And she was like, "Listen, my girl is a music supervisor for the Reefa series. It's coming out on that Geo and they need a vocal coach. Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have to stay. I've not done anything, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pass this up." Went and
Mhm.
met Cynthia, and I'm thinking it's gonna be like a little interview situation, whatever. The music production supervisor, her name's Amina Gant. And she was like, "Okay, well, can you be here Monday? That'll be your first." I was like, okay,
Whoa.
yeah. But that's just the power of your network. It wasn't a thing of,
Mhm.
we gotta do an interview or whatever, because this person said you're valid. Okay, you're in. Come on, let's do it. And it was quite a ride. I got to coach her as well as all the other vocalists.
Wow.
In on the series. So all the music that you'll hear on that series, especially Cynthia portraying Aretha's voice, that is all our work together of us trying to work through placement and diction and
Mm.
enunciation so we can get her as close to Aretha's sound because she's singing all the songs. So
Right.
and her voice sounds so similar to her. Pretty. It's a little scary actually.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to that coming out in March and being able to watch this beautiful piece of work that we did be out for everybody to see. So
That is
that's what I'm
so
doing in Atlanta
amazing.
right now. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so proud of you. But I also wanted to recap for the audience. If you are a fan, then you know that Angela Birchett was our season 2, episode 7 guest. That is your older sister.
Mhm.
So, the whole family, like she said, everybody sings, everybody does their musical thing.
That's
So
right.
now that we know where you are, take us back to Antea coming out of high school, figuring out what to do as a grown up. How did you get here?
So lots of concerns. It's always interesting to reminisce on this story because I'm like, wow, girl, you've done a whole lot. You've really been moving
Mhm.
around for the past 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
So I got a full ride to Wayne State
Okay.
to study opera, to study vocal performance. Because at Cass, I was a music major and was in harp and vocal and all of that, whatever, and had gotten really good at it. And I think the whole time all this was happening, I was always surprised. I can't believe this is happening. You guys think I'm good enough for real? Because I was a church kid from Detroit, but I had found this very comfortable, safe space in singing opera. Um, and so yeah, I went to Wayne State full ride, and I believe that year I was the only Black woman in the music department to receive a full ride. So you can
Wow.
imagine that was already and that was in 1998.
Right.
It was now it was a little challenging, but because I was very I don't like to use the word naive, but I was very like open hearted when I was a teenager. So even though I kind of logically knew things were going on that weren't really what they should be, I just moved forward like I was everybody else. You know what I mean? Like oh that's not what's really happening. Oh that's not until stuff really hit the fan, and I was like, oh oh this really is because I'm Black. Wow. Okay, cool.
Mm.
So to make a long story short, I completed 6 semesters at Wayne State, and I was studying under Frances Brockington. She was the dean of, and along
She
that
was the dean
path,
of what? It skipped. I'm sorry.
of voice, the dean of voice.
Voice. Okay.
And within those 6 semesters, I started developing really bad allergies, really, really
Mm.
bad. I've always had asthma. of a sudden the allergies just completely got out of control. I was trying different medications and stuff to, fix them. And, I was in college, so there was a bit more partying than it should be. And, I'm 19, 20 years old. So I'm trying to like lose weight. So I'm taking diet pills and drinking
Mm.
and, just a lot of whatever. Long story short, I got to my sixth semester and I started to lose my voice. Um,
Oh.
and yeah, but it was really bad. It wasn't like, just a little hoarseness from a cold. Week after week after week, I could barely talk. So to be a full scholar,
Wow.
um, vocal performance major, about to go into your senior year, like, so kind of the stress of that and not being able to practice or, idea of knowing that, some days I couldn't really audition for anything happening with opera workshop. And this was going on for months. My grades started to fall. And I feel like I'm getting this thing saying my connection is unstable. Are we
Oh
good?
no. I can hear you. You are going a little in and out, but I can still follow what you're saying.
Okay, is it back? Yeah, it's just saying
No,
that my
you're
connection is
good.
stable.
As far as I
Okay,
know, we're not having any issues.
okay. The joys of being in the country. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Atlanta Wi-Fi down here.
Gotcha.
Uh, so anyway, the kind of the stress of what all that was, made my grades start to drop, and I started blanking out. I couldn't audition. I was failing classes. So ultimately, they made the decision to take the scholarship. Um,
Oh.
so at that point, I was like, hey. And not only did they take the scholarship, they said I had to change my major. Now, what I later on found out was that I should have been given the option to go through some sort of vocal therapy or given some sort
Mm.
of, and I didn't, that was never offered to me. I
Wow.
never knew anything about it. So at that point, I had just turned 20. I think I was 19 or 20 because I was 17 when I went into college. So yeah, I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yeah, you got to change your major and we're not giving you any more money. So I'm like, all right, all right. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm always hopeful. I'm like, all right, cool. All right. So, I love, music technology. I love recording and mix engineering. No problem. I'll take out a student loan because, my parents at the time, they couldn't, it was a blessing. Angela got a full ride. I got a full ride. They were like, cool, our kids are good. And then when I lost it, I'm like, well, I'm not about to put this on my parents and I'm about to finish. So I
Right.
take out the student loan. Um, and changed my major. But then after I changed my major, I realized that the classes taken as a vocal performance major overlap in this new
Mm.
program. So I changed it to recording and mixing engineering. So that basically meant I was going to have to do another 4.5, 5 years. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's a
you
lot.
know, for it? Nah. So I bumped around a little bit. I tried. And ultimately I ended up with the college dropout story. So it was very disheartening for me because I'm like, man, you know what? I really thought I had this figured out, and all this time my voice is still gone.
Mm.
I don't have any answers. I've got to a voice doctor and they basically were like, no nodules, no nodes or whatever. Your vocal cords are severely swollen and they're just going to swell whenever they want to. There's nothing you can do about it. I was like, this is good. And now, mind you, the medical technology wasn't as sophisticated as it is right now. Now, I mean, obviously, I know what's going on, but
Right.
ultimately, though, there was a very bright thing that came out of that. Believe it or not. So I started researching on my own to figure out what happened. Like, why? How do you go from getting a full ride to a university to sing opera to not being able to talk? And then y'all can't tell me what's going on. So I went to
Mm-hmm.
an otolaryngologist, had them scope my vocal cords, went to an ENT, went to a couple different ones and started comparing what's happening, like what's going on, and then started figuring out ultimately it's on me. Like I didn't, my body wasn't hydrated enough based on the size of my body. Um, and between the allergy medication, the weight loss pills, the coffee, the alcohol, and then bread once or twice a month when you go out with friends, my body is super sensitive, and while others could do it, my body couldn't handle it because it just has a level of sensitivity. But it took
Mm-hmm.
me a couple of years to run through all of that research, and in the midst of doing that research, I had friends who were also getting hoarse from like, gospel singing and all that, and, would ask questions, and I would help out some friends, just because helping out, and people started being like, listen, can we just do this once a week? I'll just pay you for you to do, like, just teach me stuff, do lessons.
A
And it
coach is
birthed
born.
being of crazy from my, and at the time I started coaching when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
But from there, I still had an interest in recording and mixing, because I knew, all right, I can't really sing, so I'm not gonna give up. So let me just try this because I really like it. So I ended up going to the Recording Institute of Detroit, finished that program, got my certification to be assistant recording, mixing, recording engineer. But during that time that I was at RID, I had to do an internship. And because I've always been like, how can I make some money for me instead of just doing something for free? So I saw that there was a radio station that was hiring weekend board operators. Oh my gosh, weekend board operators. And I asked them at the school, I'm like, does this count as an internship? Can I be like a radio board operator? Oh yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Got this job being a weekend board operator at WMUZ. It's a radio station, a Christian radio station in Detroit. And started doing this job, and all of a sudden realized, yo, I really like radio. This is crazy. Like, I really, really like it. And I started going over to the gospel station. Met, I don't know if you remember any of these things about this radio station, but 1340 AM, I met Reverend Mother, and at the time, Val Monroe and all the young people. Robin Sullivan was on 103.5. And a lot of opportunities started to pop up, because, Reverend Mother was a bit of a pistol to deal with. She couldn't operate on boards. So, I remember someone had called off one day, and I was usually doing over on the weekend, but I was there during the week one day, and her production engineer had into it. And, I heard him across the building, and he slammed the door, and she's screaming and all, whatever. So the operations director, his name is Steve Dealey, he came into the station I was in and was like, listen, needs board op, like, I need you to go over there. So living in the gospel world, this being a big deal in the gospel community, and Reverend.
Uh-oh. No.
Do it.
You
I
froze
went and produced.
again.
Oh no, can you hear me?
I know. You said Reverend, and it was like,
Okay, which, can you hear me now?
So, yeah.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard?
You were saying that they needed you to go over to handle that, and then you were saying you were naming somebody, and that's what.
Yeah, Reverend Mother. Yeah, to go and produce her show. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go, no problem. And that started the beginnings of a year career that I had at WMUZ. And it started on, her board operator walked out. And I was like, okay, I'll take care of the show. And her and I hit it off. And to this day, we still are amazing friends. That's
awesome.
But because she was 60 when I started doing the boards for her. So from there, I was doing the drive time show. And then I started realizing that the music was in disarray. They didn't really care about the gospel station. It was all about the CCM music or whatever. So I started reorganizing all of the database for music. Just kind of started acting as the music director, even though they didn't need one. Because I'm like, this is out of order. Like, we don't have a playlist. We're not doing anything. We're not doing what radio people do. And because of my the experience and the certification from RID, I knew what to do. I knew how to edit stuff. I knew how to. So after I rebuilt this whole thing, I went to the general manager. His name was Frank Franciosi. I don't remember all these people's names. It's crazy. And I told him, like, this is all the stuff that I've done, and this is what I'm interested in doing. I'd like to be the music director of the station, as well as Reverend Mother's show producer. And he's like, all right, cool. So then I got this promotion. So I went from, just being weekend board operator to drive time show producer and music director at the station. Wow. Then the morning slot opened up, and they needed a morning host. And I'm like, okay, I like to talk. I can do that. So I did an air check for them, And, and this is for all, white folks. And I'm this young black girl. I don't have nothing on my resume about being on air or whatever, and they looking at, gospel artists, all this, whatever. And I'm like, no, 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 I know the whole board. I know how to say, just. So I did the air check and they auditioned me for about 2 weeks. Every single day, they were like, me in on the morning slot with a different, let's try different first ladies, let's try different gospel artists, let's, because they didn't feel like I could handle it on my own, which was true, because I'm just one type of personality, and it was the morning show, so they needed. So this guy named Chris Jones, a gospel singer. Do you remember Chris Jones?
I don't. I wasn't really
Okay.
into gospel when I was young. I was like not that girl. Only thing I remember was on the radio was Martha Jean the Queen, because my grandmother used to listen to her.
Oh my gosh. Well, the competition of Martha Jean the Queen was Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother. I figured that from what you were saying. I was like, they probably were rivals.
Yes, yes, yes. Lord Jesus. We talk about two old ladies be carrying on and bickering, and I'm sitting there, we don't care about denture cream or whatever y'all talking about. I don't care. God, shut up. Or what deacon you took out when y'all was teenagers. Shut up talking to me. I don't care. Oh, church lady stuff.
The real
really, and I spent a lot of time with her mother. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. But I was with her 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you can imagine, like, and it was a lot. That's why we still are really good friends, because I really was with her for years. Every day it would sit there like, you like this? Like, I don't even have friends. But no, anyway, I love her to death. She's an amazing person. But yeah, I ended up doing this morning show with Chris Jones, and the name of the show is Joy and Jones in the Morning. It was fantastic. We were only on the air for 3 hours, from I think 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. And I enjoyed it because we played every single contemporary gospel song that ever was. And it was all laughs and jokes. Like, it wasn't, sometimes you turn on, gospel radio and it's a lot of prayer and scriptures and all that. He was wild as me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we, we went to church, but, we were just all just shy of cussing. Like, we were just out of control. It sold our show out. People were like, yo, Antea and Chris are nuts. Yes, we are. Like, it was just, it was fantastic. So I only spent 2.5 years doing that. Because all along while doing radio, Anisha and I were writing together. We were writing at home. We were writing with producers who were local. Mike Winans Jr., Chip Dixon, Pete Glass. Like, it was a couple different people recording songs and still trying to get into the music industry. That was still the goal. But I had gotten real heavy in the radio because I was also, like, okay, all right, we want to get into the music industry, but we got to pay bills. We need to get a savings, and we can't be a studio bum and living at your mom's house. So one day, we were working with this organist who's also a producer. His name is Chip. And we all were this production team with Mike Winans Jr. And he was like, go play at the Virginia. And Rodney Jerkins' dad is preaching. So Rodney Jerkins' dad is his manager, but he's also a Pentecostal preacher.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So, all right, either. But I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. But all right, we'll have fun. So he goes down there, he meets Rodney, blah, 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 whatever. And Rodney comes to him, and he's like, oh, you from Detroit? And Chip was like, yeah, I'm looking for this girl named whatever. And Chip was like, I know who the girl is, but let me tell you about this girl, Anisha, sister. Because he was looking for, it's saying my signal's going.
Yeah.
Is it back?
You good? Okay. Yeah, you good.
All right. So Rodney was looking for some young girl that was a really great gospel singer, and Chip was like, I don't know who you're talking about, but I know Anisha, and there can't be anybody who sings better than her, so here's her number. So when he comes back to Detroit, he tells us that this happened, but we were like, okay, yeah. So some months go by, and me and Anisha on the Saturday are in choir rehearsal, and her phone rings, and she picks it up in choir rehearsal, not supposed to be answering the phone in choir rehearsal. And she picks it up, and she said on the other end, the person was like, yo, is this Nisha? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, this is Rodney, and Detroit girls. She's like, Rodney who? And he said, Rodney Jerkins. And she immediately said, don't play on my phone, whoever this is. I'm at church. And she hangs up the phone. So he calls back.
Oh no.
And she's like, hello? And he's like, no, I'm serious. This is Rodney Jerkins. I got your phone number from Chip. And then she remembered. So I'm in the alto section across the room. She's in the soprano section. Then they're singing or whatever. It's loud or whatever. And she jumps up and she's like, and I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? I'm thinking she's about to tell me somebody done died. She's like, so we run out to go into the bathroom. And she's literally almost in tears. And she's like, it's Rodney. And I do, Rodney who? It's like, Rodney Jerkins. Again, I'm like, are you sure? Don't be. So I look at the phone and it's a 609 area code. That's South Jersey. That's where his studio is. So I was like, ah. So he talked to her for a bit, had her sing. He obviously was completely floored by her voice. And this went on for a couple of days. He kept calling, kept putting on the phone with industry execs, A&Rs, producers, writers, blah, 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 whatever. So, our whole family is like, Rodney Jerkins, because at the time there was nothing bigger. It was like, we were huge fans. So it was like the dream to be signed to Rodney. So he's like, his father called after about 5 or 6 days of her singing every single day to somebody different all day long on the phone, doing all these tricks and runs and all this stuff. So he calls and he's like, Anisha, Rodney wants to sign you as an artist. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, sick, you made it. So he's like, do you guys have some songs you can send that you've been working on? And he was like, yeah, me and my sister write together. And we've been working with, Chip and Michael, whatever. And Rodney was like, all right, send me the songs. So we send them about 5 or 6 records that we had done. And they were cool, but we were starting off. We didn't have no bunch of equipment. We had like a Tascam 4 recorder, and but it showed the melody, it showed the lyrics, and it showed Anisha singing voice. That's all we cared about. Called us back, and he was like, y'all wrote these by yourselves? Yeah. And he was like, all right, I want to sign Antea too. So I'm like, and I'm just happy at the beginning, like, yo, Anisha about to get on, eventually she gonna come back for me. And he was like, we're gonna put the artist thing on hold, and I'm gonna sign y'all as songwriters to my publishing company. So I was like, oh my God, this is what better thing could have ever happened. Now, mind you, I'm still at the radio station. I'm still this on-air host, joined.
No.
Up a little bit.
You froze, yeah.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I got this whole life that I've built and created that I'm proud of. And, I have these fans and I have this thing. But then this publishing agreement came along and I wanted that more. I wanted it more than anything I could have ever imagined. So we signed the contract in, I want to say it was October of 2005. And I went to the radio station that January of 2006, because what happened was I thought that I had this contract and just stay in Detroit and try to write from there, whatever. Anisha immediately left. She immediately moved out to Jersey. But I was still trying to hang on to both worlds. I still wanted to be on the air and still be in the music industry. And around my birthday of 2005, I just turned 25 years old. And Rodney called and he was like, yo, I need you out here. Like this, you trying to do sessions over the phone and all that. That's not going to work. Somebody going to take your spot. You need to be here. So at this point, I didn't have any savings. I didn't, I just wasn't prepared to quit a job. But I was prepared to be in the music industry. And if that meant whatever, I was just going to go in poor. That's what it was. So January of 2006, I went into the radio station and put my 2-week notice in and let them know I got a publishing agreement and I got to move to the East Coast. And what I was hoping was that they would allow Chris to just keep doing the show. They didn't. They turned that 2-week notice into Friday is both of you all's last day. Don't say goodbye on the air, and we'll just play music on Monday. Chris, you're out of here.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. So it was pretty cold blooded.
Yeah.
And I felt horrible because I'm like, oh man, Chris just lost his job because I'm chasing a dream. But in my defense, I would always try to train Chris to operate the boards, like, because he was just there in the room with me. So I was doing all the production, all the everything. He never wanted to. And they knew they would have to go through this whole process of finding somebody else. So that was that. So I moved.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford a plane ticket. I had
Oh.
a laptop that barely worked. I had
Mhm.
$40 and a
Mhm.
Taurus. So I got in my
Mm.
Taurus, took my laptop that barely worked, my $40 in my pocket, and drove to Jersey.
Mm.
Um, and that was the beginning of this whole ride of being in the music industry.
Wow. So give us the highlights because we don't have time to get into every story, but like give us some of your favorite songs that you've written.
That's always hard. Um, I could tell you better my favorite people to work that I've ever
Okay.
worked with.
Whatever works.
Um,
Just give the audience an idea of the work you've done since then.
my two favorite sessions, even though the end result wasn't the big number one records we thought they were gonna be, but the artists, they were just, it was the best. Were Beyonce and J Lo. They were the best ones to
Okay.
work with.
For
Um,
obvious reasons.
right, but I mean, they just, you would think somebody at that level would be a different type of human. I
Mm.
mean, these are just the nicest women I've ever met in my life. And you know, we worked with Beyonce within the first 90 days. In the first 90 days of me moving to Jersey, we were in New York.
Wow.
So it was my
Huh.
first real music industry session. We spent 3.5 weeks with her at Sony Studios in New York,
Mhm.
and it was life changing. She is really just a wonderful human being, and
Wow.
and it was my first experience being around people who really did have money.
Mhm.
As this might sound very, I don't know, but we all were like, I mean, she just smells so good, and her skin just looks so good, and she would come in with like shorts and a t-shirt on, and it just looked so expensive. Like we all were just like, this
Mm.
is so weird. And she was just a nice person. We would have sessions, and she would come and sit right next to you on the couch. It'd be a long couch where she'd come and sit hip to hip and look over your shoulder and take your pen and write stuff down for you. And we sit around and laugh and crack jokes and all. It was just, and this was at the time when she was just dating Jay-Z. Um,
Gotcha.
so she was all super in love, and he would come and pick her up for
Mm.
dates. I remember she showed up to the studio one day, like really dressed up. She had her glam squad, do her hair, and I only had on this dress and these heels. Um, and he came to pick her up, and she's like this, she's all
Giddy.
nervous, and she's all, it was
Mm.
really just super cute, and we got to meet him. He was something else. He walked in the room and sucked the air out of it. We all were just like,
Mm.
his presence is really, it's a lot. I was like,
Wow.
whoa, this, I don't even know what's going on. And he's really tall. He's huge, six
Mm.
four. He's a huge person and very skinny. Um,
Mm.
but it just his whole vibe, and he was only in there for a second, but the way that he seems in his raps and in his interviews is exactly how that's why I think we all were like, because it's not fake, he's really that person. It was a lot.
Gotcha.
I think
So
we ended
what
up ending the
songs
session
did you
early
work
today.
on? You said they weren't number one hits, but what were the songs?
Nope. So we did a lot of records, but the only record that ended up seeing the light of day that had my name on it was a song called Back Up. All right.
Okay.
But it ended up being a bonus track on the album. And that's too long of a story. I won't get into all that. But the
Okay.
records that came out of our camp was Deja Vu,
Okay.
and something else. My friend Delisha Thomas and Makiba Riddick and Kelly Nicole wrote Deja Vu with Rodney. Um,
Mhm.
but we did a bunch of records, and the only one that our names ended up on was Back Up, because it was a whole battle. It was a writing camp, so it was us, it
Mhm.
was like Sean Garrett's people were there, it was like, and it just ended up getting
Mm,
a little bit
competitive.
rough. Yeah, and we were the new kids on the block, so after a while Rodney
Right.
just
I
shook us
mean,
and said, "Oh, take
to
off."
get that was probably a big deal.
It was my first time out.
Right.
But then yeah, that was she was just amazing. It didn't materialize to be what I wanted it to be music wise, but she was great. J Lo was another one. We spent 2 years
Mhm.
working with her. 2 years.
Wow.
And she was pregnant with the twins when we started.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
we sent some random records because we heard she was doing a greatest hits album, and our manager sent some stuff off, and we sent probably 5 or 6 songs, and she loved records so much that she decided just off of the records that we sent that she wanted to do a whole new project. She didn't want to do a greatest hits album and add 1 or 2 songs. So
Wow.
that's why we got looped in for 2 years, because
Okay.
we were creating this whole sound with her. with this group of producers called they go by Chris and Teeb now, but back then they were Drop Zone. Um, and we worked and worked and worked. We were LA and her place in Long Island in New York. And we were there, you know, the babies were born. And then, you know, they were one and then they were two. And we would be at the house in Long Island. She was still in Miami. He would come down in the studio in their house and internet's going out.
Yeah, I think it's back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, he would come down into the studio, test her microphone for her, sing while singing our songs, and
Mhm.
she would come and sit on the floor with us with the babies, and have her assistant bring us Spanish coffee, and
Ooh,
it was 2 years of something just wonderful because again, like she
yeah.
definitely is a Rican, like she's that person, and she curtails it a bit on TV. You know, she's not, you know, but she really like
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun hanging out with her. So, you know, she'll cuss like a sailor and she'll let you know what's,
Got you.
you know, she'd just be snatching people up all the time. We'd be like, you sure you're not black? I don't understand what's going on right now. She was fantastic. She was so fantastic. So from that, we ended up the record that came out was on the album called Love Question Mark, and the song was called One Love. But we had done a ton of records, but this was right in that era of music where studio engineers were leaking songs to
Mm.
blogs for a check. And if you were one of those people that were going around to sessions with CDs and putting it in hard drives, letting people hear your music, they would just rip the songs and then leak them. And we did a
Wow.
record on her called Hooked on You that was already pressed up, slated to be her rollout single. It was a big dance record. And about a week and a half before it was slated out, it leaked online. It was in 2008 or 9 when it leaked. And I
Mm.
think that was the very beginning of me realizing the hurt that you could feel in the industry because we were so excited. We were like, this is the moment. And it was over. And now songs leak all the time. People leak stuff on purpose. But back then,
Right.
that was it. If it leaked, it was
It
over.
was
Like it was,
it. Yeah.
there wasn't gonna be no video, wasn't gonna be nothing.
Right.
So we got one record off in that one, but you know.
So,
But yeah,
what's
those are
your biggest hit to date?
the biggest one will probably be the Justin Bieber record,
Okay, which one is that?
Favorite Girl. It was an iTunes single.
Hmm.
That's the one that, no, I'm lying. I'm absolutely lying to you. It's the
Right.
record we did on her, the one that we
Okay.
won the Grammy for. That's the
Oh,
record.
duh.
Let me for
Really?
coffee. Apparently, I'm not ready yet. Hold on.
And what's the name of the
it's
track for
it's
those that don't know?
the song is Gone Away. That's the record we did on her. Duh. What I'm telling you, boy, you know, when you become a woman of a certain age, your brain be like, no, we
You don't
don't
have
want to
to tell me.
participate today.
I
It's
understand.
dumb. Justin Bieber. I mean, Justin Bieber was good. He was great,
Right.
but no, it's Gabby. It's her. Definitely.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the biggest one
Awesome.
so far.
Well, that is so cool. I mean, and I'm sure you have tons of other stories, but I can't keep you all day. I wish I could, but I want us to get to the more Detroit centric part.
Yep.
And you've already told us what you're doing now. If there's any like current projects or upcoming projects other than the Nat Geo project, you can tell us about that real quick, and then we'll jump into the Detroit stuff.
Yeah. So right now I'm really focused on my private clientele. My company is called Teach What I Know. The website is teachwhatiknow.com. I offer co-write services, vocal coaching, songwriting lessons, music consultations. Everything's on the website, and it's really been beneficial now during the pandemic, where I'm able to really just focus on helping people keep moving forward in their music goals over the internet. You know, prior to the pandemic, though, I was traveling between Detroit and Atlanta, doing private students there and private students here. But it's really my heavy focus now. Anisha and I are actually in the process of renegotiating our agreement with Universal, which is beautiful.
Mhm.
So I'm really looking forward to 2021 bringing some different opportunities for us as songwriters, and me being able to kind of flex a little bit and venture into some other genres that I actually really enjoy, that I haven't had the freedom to do. And now, I'm one of those people where being not being able to travel has benefited my career more, because
Mhm.
it's kind of forced people to have to expand because we all are just sitting around.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to, more alternative and folk country rock sessions.
That
Because
sounds
I've spent a lot
cool.
of time doing pop and R&B, but my playlist, my go-to songs that I listen to first are alternative records. It's soft rock. It's rock. It's not. It's generally
Yes.
not R&B. It's not.
Yes.
You know, but
Man.
but it's all my placements. That's what makes it so weird. So when you come in the
Gotcha.
gate and they look at your resume, they're like, "You want a Grammy for her? You want a Justin Bieber? You want a Beyonce? There's Mary. You have a gospel stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, but listen to me play this. Like, listen to this country music." And they're like, it's a
Mhm.
black white thing. But
Yeah.
to now that everyone is the playing field is kind of level, because it's not about who can get to the meeting first and who can. It's not that. We all on Zoom or FaceTime at this point.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I'm looking forward
The
to
great
expanding in that area.
equalizer.
I'm telling you, that's exactly what's happening right now. So,
Mhm.
that part of it, and then I'm doing some stuff. There's a called Heroes that's in Detroit. It's
You
founded
said it's
by
a play. Is
Shatrice.
that a play?
No, okay, is it? Did it go out? Is it back?
It did. You said it's a. I heard Heroes in Detroit, but I didn't hear what it was.
It's a youth program for aspiring
Youth program.
songwriters and artists. Yeah, and we start back up in February with them. So it's a songwriting course for teenagers in Detroit. This will be my third 6 week session with them, and it's founded by Gil and Mark Walker, and Erica, and it's fantastic. It's Detroit based, and then also I'll be doing a 6 week class with Mosaic Youth Theater, same thing, songwriting
They
classes.
have been
So
mentioned many times on this broadcast.
they
Many
moving,
times.
they moving.
Mhm.
So it's really nice to be so far away, still be able to really connect with people in Detroit, especially the young people in Detroit. I miss it. I really, really do. Making is such a culture shock for me. It's unreal. So it's nice to get on Zoom and to see, the young people or the FaceTime friends doing this and doing that, and they're all still in the city and thriving and doing well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's what I'm up to
awesome.
right now.
Cool. I know that when I found out you were doing coaching was when someone told me you were on the Braxton show. You were coaching Tamar. And I was like, what? And I went and looked like, oh my God, I
Yeah,
know her. So
yeah,
like that was my
that was like
introduction to that.
2013 maybe, and
Maybe, yeah.
it was all completely over the phone, and it actually was fairly short lived. And it's interesting to see the road. I'm not gonna turn this into a gossip column, but it's just interesting to see the road that she's on now, because
Yeah.
I only could go so far with her. And if it was in private and not on a reality TV show, I might have went ahead and
Gotcha.
massaged that situation. But I was like, you know what? I'm an adult, and I take my reputation and what I do and my skill set very seriously. And
Hmm.
while yes, it'd be cute to get a reality TV show check, I believe in my brand and what I do more than getting a little couple $1,000 just so you can flash my name on the screen while you sit
Right.
here and call me out of my name and try to belittle what I do. It's not going to
Oh
happen.
no.
So now I'm not saying she
Oh.
did that, but I'm saying that's her
Oh, okay.
personality type. Where if she's
Got
having a
yeah,
bad
the
day, so I had to make a
hmm
choice. Like I don't want to do that. Yeah, it could
yeah,
catapult me into whatever, but now I
right.
got to resurrect from whatever mudslinging she's gonna do. No, I'm good.
Gotcha.
I'm not
That's
gonna do that.
tough.
So
That's
yeah,
tough.
I'm glad I
'Cause
made the
it
decision.
yeah, yeah, I mean you followed your gut, obviously your instinct was telling you no. And it's funny, this is really random, but I have a connection when I lived in New Jersey for a short period at the end of 2008. And I was with my cousin, and the upstairs neighbor was a hairdresser who actually was her hairdresser at one point. So
And so I know
and
y'all was
and
getting.
Nicki Minaj's hairdresser. I'm
Oh
like,
my
I ain't the
gosh.
same hairdresser. Now, mind you, my hair didn't look like that. He was just doing my regular natural hair, but
Uh-huh.
I found he was and Patti LaBelle. He's working with Jennifer Hudson. He's huge in
Wow.
Atlanta, and I just was like, oh
What
my
was his
God,
name?
that is so great. Terrence Davidson.
Okay, okay, okay. That's cool. Nice.
So that's my little connection.
That's nice. You were in Jersey.
Yeah, I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer in New York. So in 2008, I went on up in September, right at the fall of the economy, and I only was able to stay there till like January, and I came right on back to Tallahassee, and that was all she wrote. I realized it was great though. I had so much fun, but I also realized that I was going to need way more money to be happy in that area of the country,
Right.
and I kind of like the slower, more sparse living. That on top of the $2,000 for a closet studio, kind of, I just
Yeah.
at that point in my life, I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm used to other things.
Yeah. Yeah. New York and LA, they're rough ones. They're rough ones. But
Mhm.
I mean, I live in a decent sized house and I don't pay that much for it here. And
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
you
it's a
mhm.
lot of bedrooms, bathrooms,
You
space,
can't beat
all of
it.
that. Yeah, but
You can
I'm a
always
city
visit
girl.
though. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm a city girl. So I think this helped me get a spectrum of what I want over the next decade of my life. And yes, I do want this type of environment, but not my daily. Like I love New York, I love LA, but
Mhm.
I'm it doesn't make financial sense right now, especially in a pandemic,
Yeah.
to spend $3,000, because basically the size of this place, if I were to get a house there, the amount of money,
Astronomical.
it would be 4 times, 5 times what
Astronomical.
I'm paying here. But
Mhm.
for me as a creative, nothing beats that feeling of getting off the subway at Times Square and walking up those steps, and
Mm.
it's like the whole world just opens up in front of
Lights
you.
up, whether it's
I
night or not.
Yeah, it's just something about New York, and the same thing with LA.
Yeah.
You touch
Yeah.
the LAX, and the air is just different. I love
Mhm.
coastal living, but right now my bank is like, you also love Macon, so we're gonna
Right. You
stay in
love
Macon.
making.
You're
I
gonna
got
just stay
you.
there in your nice big house with your dogs, okay?
Right. Right. No
So
one's
yeah,
mad. No one's mad. So let's get to the Detroit part
all right,
before we run out of time.
okay.
Okay. So from all that you said, can you give me just in a couple of minutes sum up your thoughts as to why Detroit is so special to you and how it's made you who you are today?
Um, Detroit is special because there's just something about the grit and the push of us, um, from childhood and in every facet of my life, whether it was school, whether it was church, whether it was a job, all the people were always the same. And it was this cool, city but up south kind of vibe, but always this hustle mentality of, but I'm gonna make this work. And it was no matter where you went. And it was my parents and grandparents, and it was my friends, and it was the pastor, and it was the guy who owned the corner store, and it was the butcher, and it was the janitor at the school. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was everybody. So ultimately what ended up happening was it created that in me, where I realized there's a lot of benefit to just going hard in the paint. I'm not out here trying to floss or impress y'all. I'm out here trying to dream up something and then beat the pavement until I get it. And I think that culture in Detroit has never left me. And I think I didn't appreciate it until I left. Now I've traveled a
Mhm.
lot, but I left this time. And now I'm like, oh, it's nothing like Detroit people. It's nothing like it.
Mhm.
It's nothing like it
Mhm.
because I'm a Detroit girl. I am.
Yep.
That city
You said
made
it
me for
perfectly.
sure.
Yeah. You said it perfectly, and it's come up so many times, and everyone just explains that similar theme, but it comes out in just a nice little unique. We have a nice little gumbo of descriptions of this, and I love it because every time it's just another dimension and another dimension. But you encapsulated it so well. Thank you for that contribution to the gumbo.
Of course.
Now let's get to the Fab Five, which is a play on the U of M team of old, but it's our little game we play of favorite Detroit themes. So there are five of them,
Okay.
and we're just going to go kind of rapid fire. If you want to insert a short story, that's fine. But number one is going to be your favorite Detroit place or landmark.
Favorite Detroit. My favorite landmark is the Riverwalk, the waterfront.
Gotcha.
It's my
Gotcha.
favorite.
It's beautiful too.
It's always the go-to. Got to do it. Got to see it. Probably because my
Mm-hmm.
mom is from Canada, so my early
Oh, okay.
memories
Right.
going
I
back and
think
forth.
I've heard this before. Look, I forgot
My
your
mama is a
sister.
Canadian citizen, and we spent a lot of time in Canada. So
Gotcha.
even though we lived in the city, we were always down by the water. So because we were crossing the bridge or going under the tunnel, and we would see it from both sides. Like the
Mm-hmm.
fireworks, we would go and watch the fireworks from the Canadian side when we were kids. So it's one of those things that I held on to into my adulthood as just safe space to go.
Gotcha. Okay. That was good. Number two, though, is your favorite. Now I'm going to trip you up here. This is the point. Your favorite restaurant or dish, past or present.
Favorite restaurant. Is it past or present?
Restaurant or dish, past or present.
Is it past or present?
You pick. You tell me.
Oh, it's present. Um, my favorite restaurant. Oh man, just it's hard for just to be one.
I know that was the point. Most people get more
Can I
than one,
say two?
so yeah, you
Okay.
can.
So generally, when I come back to Detroit, I'm either going to one or two places. I'm gonna go to Brooklyn Street Local
Okay.
in Town, or I'm going to go to Seva in Midtown.
Okay.
Um, it's between those two. I gotta go to either one of them. And then there's what's the name of the bakery that's on Cass? I can't think
I
of the
don't
name.
know.
Oh no. It's one on Cass and it's one on the corner of Woodward and State.
Hmm.
I think it starts with an A. I'm tripping right now. Anyway, their cookies are great. They have vegan chocolate chip cookies. The one on Cass makes a vegetarian flatbread.
That sounds
Oh
good.
man, this is making me miss home. And then of course T&J Coney Island on 8 Mile. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that something to remember?
You're Coney
Yeah,
Island.
that's always a thing. In the middle of when all the vegan stuff is closed, go get some fried mushrooms, or whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So that was different. Now, what do the two places serve that you go to now? Because I'm not familiar with either of those.
So Brooklyn Street Local, they they are heavy vegan. So I'm able to get all the best things that I love: vegan banana pancakes, and they do like a hungover breakfast that's like tofu scramble and tempeh, and they do like they have a shaved tempeh club sandwich,
Mm,
soups, and they also do poutine, and that's probably why I like it. Poutine is popular in Canada. It's
yeah.
fries and lard on gravy, but they do
Mhm.
I mean gravy and lard on fries, but they do a vegan version of it. Oh
Mm.
yeah, they're fantastic. I love
Awesome. And
Brooklyn
then the
Street.
other spot you mentioned,
Save-out. It's
it's just the
vegetarian.
bakery.
No,
Gotcha.
no, it's a vegetarian restaurant.
Okay.
Um,
Another. Okay.
Midtown. Uh-huh. And they do all the things. Same thing like tofu scrambles and vegan clubs, and they make great cocktails there. So yeah.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Okay, I have to check those out next time I visit because that sounds really interesting. And I like even though I'm not vegan, I will eat vegan food.
Yeah, those
Okay,
that's the best places to go because they cook it well.
good. Well, that's good to know. So number three is your favorite downtown event, and that means like strictly downtown, like a festival or the fireworks or something like that.
Hmm. Favorite downtown event. Man, there's so many of them. That ain't even fair. Um, Probably like I can't think of it. I think the name of it is River Days. Is that the name
Okay.
of it? But it's the concerts and they do the carnival. It's a couple different music festivals that I like, but I think probably the one that I miss the most, because I just haven't been there, is a Winterfest. I always thought
Okay.
the Winterfest was so great because I love wintertime in Michigan, just to be outside, wrapped all up,
Ooh.
kicking snow around, and I'm a winter baby, so
Yeah,
you
I
know,
am too, but mm-mm.
I mean,
My
I
birthday
enjoy
is
it.
next Saturday.
Oh, happy
Well, this
birthday!
Saturday coming up, rather, the 16th. That's my birthday.
Okay.
And that's not me. I'm like, is how many degrees? And they want me to go
But see, you
outside?
you've been in the warmth for years, though, right?
I have. I have.
Yeah, this is only my second winter in Georgia, and it's still very strange. Like it was
Gotcha.
50 degrees on Christmas Day, and I literally almost shed a tear. Like, what is this? Where is the snow? Like we were
Ooh.
outside. Like we
Mhm.
for my birthday on 16, we did a backyard Zoom party. It was warm.
Mhm.
Like we built a little
Yep.
bonfire. So my brain is like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So, but
I
yeah,
can understand that.
I like Winterfest
Yeah.
because it's bright and cold. There's snow. There's events. There's the ice rink and hot cocoa and the games and all.
Mhm.
I like
Gotcha.
winter.
No, I'm not. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. Okay. So number 4 is your favorite Detroit sports team.
I'm that guy that's not into sports.
Okay.
So I don't know scores. I mean I know the names and the colors and I don't know players. I don't
Sure.
but I can tell you back in the day when I was into sports and the team was actually valid, because what I understand is it's not much popping. It was the Pistons, of course, all day long.
Right.
But, when I was coming out of high school, going into college, like all of my high school years, 94, 95, 96, 97, all watching the Pistons, they were amazing then. Then I got older and got so wrapped up in the music, I just not into
Like
sports at all.
sports what? Excuse me.
Yeah, like,
You
yep,
sound
it was
like
like, well,
Roland. He said the same thing. He was like, "What?"
and I always feel bad because you date somebody or with somebody and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go tailgating, and I'm just like, so y'all bring a vodka or beer or something? Like, can I bring my laptop? Like, is there a bar nearby? Like, I just really, but no, like during the pandemic though, like my partner and I watch sports together and all that, but like I don't know teams, I don't know players,
Gotcha.
I don't know any of it, but I do understand all the games and how they work, and I can enjoy watching it. But do I care?
Yeah,
No,
you're not like a
not really.
fan. I get it. I
Not,
get it.
not
That's
really.
okay. It's okay.
But
All right. So
I
I'm
love
kind of
music.
sad because this is the last one coming up.
Okay.
But we gotta go. We can't stay on forever. But
Yeah,
number
and now,
5,
yep, okay.
I know. Number 5 is your favorite Detroit memory. And what I mean by that is a memory that you have that is so Detroit, you can't classify it as anything else.
Oh man. That's rough.
Hmm.
That's so Detroit that you can't classify it as anything else. You know, does it have to have taken place in Detroit? If that makes sense.
No, I guess not. No.
Okay. So there was a that happened that when I first signed to Rodney that made me realize how Detroit Anisha and I are, and how we have some cultural staples that we don't even realize don't happen in other places.
Hmm.
We were in the studio working late one night in South Jersey, 3 o'clock in the morning. We starving, and we're all done. And me and Anisha like, so let's just go to a Coney Island, not realizing that that's only a Detroit thing. And they're like, now Coney Island on the East Coast means something completely different. So they
Yeah.
like, what are y'all talking about? We're like, Coney Island. What do you mean? What are we talking about? This is just how Detroit we were and how untraveled we were. So we explained what Coney Island And what could have turned into like a whole, making fun of a situation, it literally, they all were like, so you telling me y'all basically got 24-hour drive-through diners? I said, yeah, all over the place. And
everywhere.
it's amazing. Like it ultimately ended up at Denny's that night.
Mm.
It was terrible. But it was a moment, as well as when Sweetest Day came around, and we all like, so what y'all doing for Sweetest Day?
What's that?
What is Sweetest Day? I'm like, oh, okay, we get it. So another Detroit thing. But when we started moving around, it was us realizing how special Detroit is, and how we just have things that nobody else has. That's it, and it's stuff that's really special to us. Not to mention all the actual things that are more important than Coney dogs and late night French fries. But being able to share that with people, I think that's my best Detroit memory, because it happens so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
it does.
I'm trying to come up with something to think about it, but
no, that was perfect. That was perfect because it made me think about my first year in college in Tallahassee, realizing that the slang is not the same.
nope.
I made a lot of friends with people from Philly, and I learned their slang. I was like, what? What's a John? I'm not a prostitute. What are you talking about? And it was like a
Right.
John was anything. And I'm like, wait a minute, I heard you describe your phone, the chair, your friends, but I'm confused.
Everybody's wrong.
They had to explain. Yeah. I was like, no. So it was like really cool with the culture exchange that happened because people were from everywhere. But like I have a funny one for you. So you remember Jamaica Jet? She went to Florida State and I went to FAM, but we lived together and hung out and everything. So she was at the movies at the mall, and a mutual friend was like, "So where is she?" I said, "Oh, she's at the show." They were like, "What show?" I was like, "The show at the mall." "What show at the mall?" I was like, "The show at Tallahassee Mall." "What show are you talking? When did they start doing shows at the mall? What are you talking about?" I said, "The AMC 20 theaters. Like, what do you want me to say?" They're like, "You mean the movies?" I'm like, "That's what I said, the show."
Oh, so weird. That's so weird. Even the whole pop soda thing. You know what I'm saying?
I still say pop just to be honorary. I
do. I do. Well, down here, what's so crazy down here when they're saying that they want a soda or pop, they just say a Coke. And but they could be meaning Sprite. They could be meaning root beer, but it's just a Coke because something about Georgia, it's real serious about Coca-Cola down here. I don't know. So any type of pop or soda is a Coke. I'd like a Coke.
Yeah.
Which Coke would you like? Sprite. What just happened here? Why did you just ask for Sprite? What's wrong with y'all? Oh, but no, I get it. The lingo is so very different. And me trying
and
to
the other one is gym shoes.
Yeah, I don't even.
No one says gym shoes.
On the East Coast, they say sneakers or kicks.
Sneakers.
Down here, I don't know what they say down here. Because half the time I don't know.
Tennis shoes, maybe? I can't remember.
I don't know, but it's not gym shoes. We the only ones that say gym shoes. And when we say gym shoes anywhere else, they're like, so you mean the shoes they give you in school when you about to put in your gym clothes and play? No, like tennis shoes. Or the shoes you
like
play
Nike,
when you play.
Adidas, Reebok.
I said no regular. Then I just be like shoes with a rubber bottom. Why do y'all not understand what I'm saying right now? It's so ridiculous. But it's cool though, the exchange to learn that as serious as we are about our lingo, everybody is everywhere else,
Yes,
so
they are. Well, thank you so much. This was fun. I had so much fun. Let's not let another couple years go by before we talk again. I want to stay in touch with you and know whenever you have something big coming up, let me know. I'll blast it on our blog, on the website. Happily put you on social media, let other people know. I'm happy to get the word out on your behalf, but thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. I know the audience is going to enjoy this. And you take care. We will be looking for the Nat Geo series in March. That's so exciting.
March. Thank you so much for having me. This has been fantastic.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So everybody, that has been another episode of the Detroit Hustle Podcast. Join me again next week. Bye.